Here we are again. I'm going to share screen. Already got up and running. Library of Congress is where I'm getting these articles from. Basically, we're going to play a fun video whilst I read them. Play that funky video
All
while
right.
away.
Let's do it.
Full screen, good to go.
Good to go.
Okay. The Florida Agriculturalist. That's a tongue twister for me. From D-Land, Florida. The land. D-Land. It's D-Land is Florida, baby. November 22nd, 1893. Big returns from South Florida orchards. The kind to plant, how to make them yield heavy crops of early and fine fruits. The latest in peaches. Why is there such a diversity of opinion as to the value of the peach as a money crop in South Florida? Asked a pineapple interviewer. The well-known fruit grower and pomologist in a state where natural conditions differ with every locality, where the soil changes with every division fence, and where a large portion of fruit culturists are novice or mature or matures. You cannot expect uniformity in results, especially with the peach. It's such a peach. Why can't you?
Don't expect such a thing.
Which is exacting in its requirements and will not adapt itself to uncongenial surroundings, as will the orange or the pear. Interesting. But where it receives proper attention on good average soil, does it pay? Does it pay? What are the best varieties for South Florida? The peaches grown in other peach regions of the country, and which are known to pomologists as the Persian race or strain. Kind of sounds, yeah. Proved a complete failure. In Peninsula, Florida. Not many years ago, the only peach we grew were native seedlings, not of the Persian race. I didn't know there was actually that many different races or seedlings of different, like there's different bunch of kinds of apples, but peaches, I had no idea.
Lots of peaches, no fuzzy navels.
The Persian race, but having a long ancestry of their own, sometimes called the Spanish race or the strain. Mixing me up with that nasty TV show. But these riped too late in the season to be profitable market fruit. Florida must get the market ahead of the Alexanders of Georgia. So it's all about money. What else is new? Well, they had to find the right kind of peach. Had to ripen sooner than later. That's even back in 1893 was all about money. Doesn't really seem to add up there. That was a pun that I didn't plan. What varieties of this class do you recommend? Well, that depends on the object the grower has in mind. usually money, I think. While all varieties of this semi-tropic race of peaches are early as compared to other peaches, there is a difference in their time of ripening. They can be divided into early and very early varieties. It pays best to stick to the very early sorts. On the other hand, Mr. Tabor says in a recent letter, I have found that the early varieties, those that follow the very early sorts, even more profitable than the latter. Again, it's all about money. Still from the Florida agriculturist. Okay. Let's say it again. Still from Library of Congress, the Florida Agriculturalist, DeLand, Florida, of November 22nd, 1893. There's actually an ad. This ad is quite interesting as I was reading one of them. Do you know we have nearly all important economic and fruit plants of the tropics and warm climates of the world? Do you know that the sheams, just broached by our horticulturist was already a living fact in our establishment. Some Florida people, up to the times, know this and are quietly taking advantage of the opportunity of getting rare plants and trees. We can supply plants of aloe, bamboo, champoor, cinnamon, coffee, delborgia, escuteria, ficus. I always like that name, ficus. Gambui, hemp, ironbark, jujube, coal, logwood, mahogany, nutmeg, olive, orange, pepper, quercus, rice paper, strychnine, tea, upas. I am just butchering some of these things. Nay, that's hyphenated. Oh, nay, it's vanilla. Wax myrtle, xylem moss, yucca, is that a cactus? Zinberg, zing, and hundreds of others. So many more names that I could just butcher. You can tell when I know it, and you can tell when I don't know it. But I was just like, rare plants, you say? Rare plants. On to the next paragraph. This one is from Rutland Herald out of Vermont, dated May 16th, 1843. Just a small little paragraph about the orange groves of Florida. The orange groves of Florida have been visited during the past year by the ravages of insects, which threatens the total destruction of the branch of production. The insects is of the Coccus family. There's a fold in the paper. Very minute and covers the bark, leaves, and fruit, exhausting the tree of its juices and destroying it to the root. Whole groves have been understood that a similar insect once appeared in the groves of the south of Europe. Mr. Levy, representative of the territory, in a letter to Daniel Webster, these names sound so familiar for other reasons, requesting that letters may be addressed to the diplomatic agents abroad to obtain an accurate history of this plague. states that have the ravages of this insect can be arrested. I was like,
they're gonna arrest.
they're gonna be arrested.
they're gonna get out handcuffs and start arresting the bugs.
There is no doubt that the peninsula of Florida is capable of furnishing completely the markets of the whole union with orange, lemon, and lime. Just so you know, if you don't, they're coming for you. They're gonna arrest you.
Wow.
Okay.
Poor insects.
The insects.
They probably have an insect jail.
That's what I was like, arrested. All right, Library of Congress, Evening Star, Washington, D.C., dated March 6, 1952. So we got a span of 100 years with a couple article clippings. Florida groves yield plentiful oranges from St. Pete and Creek Salad. That's just the name of the title. The paragraph I'm reading from, though. I'm not reading the whole thing. Oranges are a featured item on the March list of plentiful from the United States Department of Agriculture. That I can well understand after driving past mile upon mile of citrus groves in Florida last week. Not me, but the article says that. You begin to wonder who is going to consume them all. Millions of bushels go into frozen orange concentrate, of course, to supply the market with fresh juice long after the fruit comes off the tree. That is not fresh juice.
Fresh juice.
Well, this was the 50s, so it was better than nothing.
Only the freshest.
Yeah. The byproduct of this juice industry is quite amazing. In the beginning, the hulls, which is the peel, I guess, were dumped in wastelands, fields, or whatever space was available. That's interesting. I'm like, we have mounds and mounds of orange peels, the hulls, like just heaps of it everywhere. Like, I think that was a plague or something. That idea soon proved to be highly undesirable from sanitary conditions. Alone to say nothing of lack of space and the expense of carting off the hulls. Science came to the rescue, and now the hulls are turned into revenue. Science and money. Who would have thought? When an orange is squeezed too hard, you get a peel oil. So, yeah, you get the oil out of the peel.
You
This is
hear
the
that?
50s.
You hear that, Dr. Longo? Do not squeeze your juice too hard.
Maybe it was where I was.
Oh my
Well, I gotta say it again. When the orange is squeezed too hard, you get a peel oil. So the first byproduct to come from the shells of the, and there's a thing, there's a paper fold in the newspaper, an oil that is used as a base for inexpensive perfumes. Why can't they be expensive? Why do we all got all this cheap shit going around? Anywho, then molasses is distilled out of the hulls. I did not know that. That sounds disgusting. Molasses is distilled out of the hulls as a basic feed for cattle. It's put into long, narrow troughs and mixed with the citrus meal made from the chopped and dried hulls. Cattle thrive on this mixture, and they like it as well. I really hope you asked the cow if they actually liked it instead of just insinuating. Because, really? My. Okay, I hope that music wasn't too loud while I was reading it. And I was definitely struggling in one of those little articles, if not, maybe two of them. Okay, so that's it for now. with me reading, and now we're going to have a word from our unofficial sponsor.
Indeed.
Oranges were first brought to Florida in the 16th century by early Spanish inhabitants. But citrus has an even earlier history than that. The first reference to citrus date back to about 2200 BC in China, and by 319 BC, varieties of citrus trees had made their way to Europe. Early citrus trees were planted in and around the city of St. Augustine and grew wild around the state before being commercially planted in the 19th century. Some of the earliest groves sprang up along the St. Johns River on Florida's east coast and spread across the peninsula towards Tampa. Florida's unique climate and soil made it ideal for growing citrus. Different varieties were developed and perfected in Florida during this time period by horticulture pioneers such as Lu Jim Gong. In 1893, Florida's annual citrus production was nearly 5 million boxes. However, a particularly harsh winter of 1894-1895 destroyed many of Florida's groves. Farmers moved further south to avoid the harsh winters. During World War II, with the invention of frozen concentrated orange juice, Florida was at the forefront of wartime production of this vitamin C-rich citrus product, shipping it all over the world. The orange has become a central part of Florida's identity. In 1909, the orange blossom was designated as Florida's official flower, and more recently, the orange as the official state fruit. In 1967, orange juice was named Florida's official state beverage. There's even a county named after what early pioneers called the Golden Apple. By the end of the 20th century, citrus production in Florida had dropped considerably from its peak in the 1950s. Diseases like citrus greening, overseas competition, and the loss of available croplands to housing and commercial development have diminished production in recent years. Today, Florida still produces more oranges than any other region in the world except Brazil and is the #1 producer of grapefruit.